Greetings, people of the internet. It's Friday. You know what that means? It's time for Fan Art Friday. Today, going back, doing more 80s robots. No big surprise there. But today, going to do ED-209 from Robocop. Your move, creep. All right, welcome back to another Fan Art Friday. This week I am going back to doing some 80s robots. I took a little break. I don't know if you saw, but I did a Fan Art Friday on a Tuesday, just because I wanted to, there was some Star Wars stuff, so I wanted to do this Star Wars character. But that's kind of like an unofficial Fan Art Friday because it's a Fan Art Tuesday. So anyway, so continuing doing. Robots from the 80s, and I wanted to do something from 1987's Robocop. And I thought about doing Robocop, but then I'm like, well, he's kind of more of a cyborg, which, I don't really, those kind of stipulations aren't really that important for doing these things. But I was thinking it might be cool to do ED-209 because it's a pretty cool robot design. I like the stop motion that they used to design it, and just there's just some cool stuff, like one scene where he kind of like gets destroyed, and then there's a little part of the machine that like flips back and forth, and I don't know, you have to kind of watch it, but I don't know, it was really cool. I like the stop motion, and a pretty cool robot, and it leads to some funny but violent scenes when it malfunctions and everything, and I think that's a big part of Robocop in general is it's just this very over the top, violent, bloody, satirical, like a political satire / revenge movie, black comedy, and for me as a kid it was really unexpected because I had seen the trailers for Robocop and I heard about it coming out, and I remember, well, this sounds stupid. I mean, just the name of it, Robocop, sounds stupid, and then the tagline was like, what was it, part man, part machine, all cop. I mean, this just sounded like it was going to be really, really stupid. So, and that might have been part of the reason why I loved it, but because it wasn't. I mean, it was something totally different than I think anyone was expecting, and it was way better than people were expecting it to be. Something entirely different, that we really haven't seen a lot of up to that point, and so I think it took some people off guard on just how good it was, because there's if you've seen the film, it is, like I said, it is over the top and everything, but it's just, I don't know, it's something kind of onto itself, and I'm sure that formula's kind of been duplicated since then, and of course, they did make the remake, and I don't know, man, it took me, I was watching, it was on, the remake was on Netflix, and I'm like, do I really want to watch this? So I put it on, and like 3 nights in a row, I mean, I would, before bed, I would just fall asleep, and it was just, it's like I just don't understand, the idea behind remaking this movie, because especially the way they did, because they basically took every single thing that made RoboCop great and stripped it of that. It's like, oh, let's do something that, like, we're trying to go something way more serious, and I don't know, that's not what RoboCop was. I mean, it was over the top. It was satire. It was this, dark comedy, and all that was just gone, and the movie was, the remake was just so bland, and the characters, and it's just like horrible, but such as remakes, I guess. But then again, the thing is with remakes is that they get bashed a lot because there's a lot of crappy remakes out there, let's face it. But for every 50 Karate Kids, you get like a True Grit. So I don't know, every once in a while, I don't want to say I hate remakes, because now and again you get a really, really great remake. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time was a remake. It was The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Was a remake of The Thing from Another World. You know, an old black and white film. And I mean, just like I said, one of my favorite movies, and you know, talk about horrific, and just the practical effects in that movie, and just the way that was done. It was, you know, if you've never seen The Thing from, I forgot the year it came out, but you know, it's in the '80s, the one with Kurt Russell. It's John Carpenter. Just an amazing movie and a remake. So, you know, every now and again, another great horror movie from the '80s, The Fly. That was a remake. I've seen the original Fly. It's, you know, it was done in the '50s or whatever, and it was, you know, it was all right, I guess, for its time, but you know, nothing like Cronenberg's The Fly. So, but anyway, but then, like, you know, also with The Thing, they did another remake. And it got panned a little bit. I actually liked it. It wasn't because it was like I guess a reboot, but it was also a prequel at the same time. It kind of repeated a lot of themes and things from the original Thing. So in a way, it was kind of like a remake or a reboot, but it also works as a sequel because it all took place before, and it leads right up to John Carpenter's Thing. And like I said, yeah, that one I liked. I mean, definitely not as good as the one from the '80s, but I did like it, and maybe just because I was such a big fan of The Thing, and it seemed to have those elements. It seemed to pay an homage to that and still kind of tell another part of the story. I don't, you know, like I said, I mean, it didn't do very well, and some people liked it, some people didn't, but you know, I thought it was good. So there are sequels that come around that I do like, you know. I mean, and a lot of it times it seems like it's the horror movies that they can get right, and then again, you know, there's so many bad. You know, you've got your Nightmare on Elm Streets, and your, you know, Friday the 13th. All these remakes that are pretty bad. But I wasn't a big fan of those movies to begin with. But most people would say that the newer ones are just, you know, nowhere near as good as the originals. But you know, you've got, you know, Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the '70s was a great remake. But then again, they remade it again in the 2000s, just called Invasion, and it was horrible. So it's like, I don't know, you know, I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason. So I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, well, I probably do say, let's stop making all these remakes. But you know, you know, there's some really great movies that are remakes. I mean, like, you know, look at you know, Battlestar Galactica, which I love the old '70s Battlestar Galactica, but the TV series is far superior, and it goes a different way. It's like, I don't know. Sometimes it seems like it like with Robocop, I guess they tried to go a different direction. It didn't work. With Battlestar Galactica, they tried to make a little more realistic, I guess, version, and it did work. So I don't know what that really says. I guess you just, you know, I guess you have to see what they put out there and just hope for the best. But I don't know. You know, like a new remake that I'm a little excited about that I just heard. And of course, when you hear these things in the beginning stages, you never know if it's going to pan out, if it's going to come to fruition or whatever. But I guess they're talking about remaking Last Starfighter, and I love Last Starfighter, great movie, but a lot of it is of its time. It's like one of the first movies where they actually use CGI, and it's some way it's cool because if you look at it at the time, it's cool because it's revolutionary. I mean, they're building these ships and things out of, you know, basically back then, you know, nothing. You know, it's so commonplace now, but back then, I mean, to create a ship on the computer, I mean, that was like one of the first times that, you know, or the first time where they actually used those kind of effects. And Um, and you look back and it's almost like it looks like an unfinished model. It doesn't have all the, now they can do much more painted effects and weathering and make these things look cool. But the ship design itself was really cool. So I'd love to see that done with some of today's technology, because it's a really cool ship because it kind of swerves around, and it doesn't just fly through the space and shoot lasers. It's like an old kind of like a turret type system where it kind of rotates around and everything, and it's really cool. And I like that story. I like the idea that and I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know. It seems like it almost would need to take place back in the 80s, because the whole idea of the conceit of the movie is that they sent out all these video games or all these testing systems throughout the galaxy. So you've got these old arcade machines, and one ends up in this old trailer park, and this kid finds it and he plays it, and little does he know it's a recruiting thing to get him to join the whatever Starfleet, I forget what they call it. Um, but so I don't know, because they don't have video games like that anymore. So what is it? They're gonna send PlayStations out? It just doesn't have the same thing. But maybe they could do it something like maybe they are doing these testings, sending out. It would be different on different planets, but here it would be like a game console, and so maybe all these kids are playing the game console, but there is like maybe this old. It might be cool if there's like this old like original, like they have done this before. They recruited before, like if it was like they're recruiting a new Last Starfighter, which doesn't make sense based on the title, but you know what I mean. But maybe there's still one of those old console games that's just sitting in this old trailer park, just gathering dust. Somebody plugs it in, and it's still rigged to recruit or whatever. And so while you got all these kids with the console video games, maybe somebody brushes off the dust and plays this video game, and that's the one where they find it. This kid with not a lot of means in this trailer park. I would like that idea. It's because it's a lot like Star Wars. Here you got Luke Skywalker out on this farm, and he becomes this hero. So I like that aspect. So I don't know if they do it right. I'm really excited, but who knows? they could mess it up royalty, but yeah, I don't know. Remakes are a funny thing. They a lot of them are bad, but then you get good ones. You'll get a Departed, or you'll get an Ocean's 11, or like I said before, like True Grit. I watched the original True Grit was great too, with John Wayne, but the newer one, the Coen Brothers one, was, in my opinion, way better. So I don't know what the formula is. Sometimes if you go different, it's better. Sometimes if you change it up, it's better, and a lot of times they just fall flat on their faces. But I guess that's remakes. But anyway, so this is ED-209 from Robocop, and here I'm doing a little splatter effect, and kind of messed up. You can see I got it on there, but I fixed it up, and here's the final one. But yeah, you can follow me on. You can subscribe to this channel. You can like if you like it. And yeah, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. But yeah, so that's it for this week, and that is all.